Today I would like to address why America has been called to be the morality police of the world by other nations that are just as strong as us. In 2013, Syrian dictator Assad used chemical weapons called sarin gas against his country's civilians. This is considered a crime against humanity by the United Nations. Typically, when crimes against humanity are committed, the rest of the world will not call upon themselves to solve these problems, but on America. And America is not proven to be the most morally sound country in the world. For example, when sarin gas was used in Syria, America didn't intervene. They also used it in 1988 when Saddam Hussein was dictator in Iraq, and we didn't intervene then either because we were relying on our own interests and making sure that we still had strong ties to the oil industry. We didn't jeopardize ourselves instead. We had the potential to save lives in both of these situations, but we didn't take that choice. We are asked to go fight other countries' battles because it is the right thing to do, but we can't even decipher when we should and should not enlist our help. So why are we considered the morality police of the world, especially when we are not morally sound? Another great example of when we should have intervened but did not was during the Holocaust. World War II started in 1938, but we didn't intervene till practically the end of the war. And we knew that Jewish people were being persecuted in Europe, but we decided not to do anything because it wasn't our best interests. It would not have provided us individually anything. So we decided to stay away till practically the end of the war. And it took us being bombed at Pearl Harbor for us to open our eyes and realize that there is something happening here. And maybe part of the reason why we weren't so willing to go help the Jewish people was because we were biased ourselves. Jewish people are also not thriving in America either. There were people that didn't like them because they were successful, just as it was in Europe as well. So we are biased citizens and we are not perfect, which is maybe another reason why this role should not be placed upon us, why we shouldn't have to make these decisions for other countries when we are biased and we are flawed. A joint effort such as utilizing the UN would be instrumental into solving lots of these problems and making sure that nothing like the Holocaust or Rwandan genocide never happens again. Because in both of those situations, we did not feel like we needed to intervene, and maybe an international force could do more. One could argue that we have the largest defense system in the world, therefore we should take a lot of these moral issues upon ourselves and solve these crimes against humanity. However, we have committed probably the worst crime against humanity the world has ever seen, for we are the only country to ever use nuclear warfare. America should have been convicted of a crime against humanity after dropping the 2 atomic bombs, because that is possibly the worst thing that a country could do. And those cities in Japan are still fighting the effects and the radiation of it today. Yet still, 80% of Americans approve of the decisions made by our leaders and politicians, and still call America the greatest country in the world. And maybe that number should be adjusted. I think the best thing to do would be to utilize the United Nations as much as possible. It's there for a reason, and it's a great international organization that could help solve a lot of the problems that the world is facing today. And it doesn't rely on just one country to make all the decisions regarding these dilemmas, or using all of one country's resources at one time. If we utilize the UN more, decisions on how to solve crimes against humanity could be a joint effort and an international one where many perspectives are brought into the room, and hopefully the outcome could be a more pure intention than just our country deciding. These crimes could be stopped by an international force, not just us. Thank you for listening to my presentation.